from the Wherever I May Roam studio. This is the Youth Gone Mild podcast, where hairlines fade, but rock never does. I'm your host, Gen X Joe. On this podcast, I sit down with the legends and the voices who have built the foundation of rock behind the songs that we crank way too loud today. But we're not just looking back. We're also turning up the volume on the new blood, carving their own path in rock with fresh energy, ideas, and a whole lot of attitude. So, for you old heads like me, think of the Youth Gone Mild podcast as your liner notes to the stories and the news from the artists we worshipped and from the new blood keeping that bick lit. And as for you Gen Zs and younger listeners, if you're listening, and if you are, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, you're bumping up the volume on the Youth Gone Mild podcast and learning a little about the music that came before you and discovering new artists that keeps me rocking like dockin'. Yeah, go ahead, figure out what that means. I'll wait. So, whether you grew up spinning vinyl, wearing out cassette tapes, collecting CDs, loading up MP3s, or streaming your favorite bands of today, settle in, get ready for another conversation with the artist that keeps rock alive and kicking. Once again, I'm Gen X Joe, and this is today's Youth Gone Mild podcast interview.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Well, hey, I'm glad we were finally able to put this together.
Yes, me too. Sorry for back and forth. I have been slammed.
I just wanted to thank you so much for being a part of my Youth Gone Mild podcast.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that you reached out.
Why I reached out to you was it was your voice that drew me to metalcore. And I don't want to say for the first time, of course, but it was your voice that drew me to want to interview you.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much. I'm I'm very honored.
So, but you have a really diverse history with music. You, at one point, were performing pop songs.
Yes. So um, I started as a new metal artist back in my I don't know, teens, 15, 16. I was very in love with bands such as System of a Down, German band Guana Apes, and lots of popular back then music, which was mostly like American music, although I was born and raised in Eastern Europe. And I joined a few new metal bands, and it took me like around 10 years to establish myself as a regional act in my home country. Back then, situation was different. Independent artists haven't actually had a chance to be heard the way we are now. So it was more like on regional level until you get discovered by record label, right? So we were kind of well known in our scene, but over time I started burning out because financially it was really difficult to maintain all of that. Rock music was super popular back then, so we played packed 500, 600 rooms every weekend, but it was not bringing any financial um, like it would not cover our bills because venues would not pay us. Like the only pay we'll get is with alcohol at the bar, like we could drink if we want to, but it was basically us playing over and over again, big shows, packed shows, but not really selling merch or yes, we had fans, but and what. So I started burning out because back then I was a single mom, and I still needed to do day job, and this was going nowhere. So I kind of burned out and decided to move out of my home country because, um, like, I kind of felt that I don't belong there. Although it was cool and awesome, but I was one of the first female bands back then. You know, like it was odd to see female front singer on the stage for people. And I was like, okay, people, it is still, I know that in America it is still, there are still some people who are not incapable to accept female artists in metal. But generally speaking, America and most of Western countries are much ahead of countries such as my home country, where female metal artists something special, right? And something odd. So me being in metal scene or new metal scene as a raspy with vocals, extreme vocals back then was crazy concept. So I was like, okay, I feel like I don't really belong here because, like, I meant for, like, I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, right? So financially, I was not satisfied. Emotionally, I was not satisfied, and then I've decided to move out. I was like, okay, I'm gonna find a country I feel home. You know. Also, I'm an immigrant child, so there were lots of going back and forth by not being Russian enough for Russia and not being Georgian enough for Georgia. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. So I packed my things and I moved to China. And in China, I've decided to start exploring because by the time I was already 26 and I was pretty well respected new metal artist in my home country. Yes, I was not famous because we were underground, but we were very well known in our scene. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try something different, and I've decided started. I started exploring pop music. So basically, for 5 years, I toured in China, performed for one of the best stages. I had two stadium shows for 10,000 plus people. Um, I performed for the most expensive brands, but all of that was under name Alex Sandra, but it was under name of cover band Alex Sandra and basically pop music artists, right? So it was not original act, it was cover band Alexandra. And by the end of 5 years, when I already satisfied all of my financial needs, I was able to live beautiful life and provide for my child, private school, and like very good lavish life. I realized that, okay, I nailed the money aspect, but now I'm not nailing art aspect. So I've decided to uh, pursue my career as an original act. So I started making music. And this is when I met my development manager, Alex, which we are still together nowadays. And I told him that I love rock music, but I'm really broken and heartbroken. So I want to explore other areas where maybe I can find myself in pop music and see how it goes. So we started writing songs, and my manager Alex connected me with the producers he was in touch. So we wrote my first EP, Supergirl, as a pop artist. And by that time, I actually moved to America. By the time of release, I already moved to America. So my first appearance in America was as a pop act. So yeah, I've toured a lot as a pop artist. I performed a lot as a rock artist. So by the time I moved to America, I already had over 1,000 shows in my portfolio, and things were going well. I actually opened for international, like there were big act touring to San Francisco. So I get to perform for my childhood idol on the iconic stage. I was opening for her as Alexandra's original act at the Palace of Fine Arts of San Francisco, which is like super fancy. And I was standing on the stage in front of not too many people, but still like 900 people. I was standing in front of 900 people playing my original songs, and we performed really well. People were applauding, some of them standing, and I received lots of flowers. It was like really, it felt good. But I was standing on the stage and thinking, wow, I feel fucking nothing.
Oh my.
So in that moment, I realized that what I tried in my life already, right? I tried underground artist and rock music, which I loved, but it didn't satisfy me on the financial levels, right? I tried cover band, which satisfied me on financial levels, but didn't satisfy me on my artistry level. And now I'm in pop music where I am making finances work and artwork, but it's still not it. So, long story short, that day I realized that, okay, I might have just only one way. I just need to do what I like and start making money of it. So, that day I made decision that I'm transitioning back to rock. I didn't know what genre, subgenre I'm going to lean forward to, but I was like, okay, pop is great, but it's not my cup of tea. I'm too scarred and too dark and too went through hell, so it doesn't really resonate on the levels I need it resonates. So I've decided, okay, I was like, Alex, you know what? I talked to my manager. I was like, Alex, you know what? It's time to go back to rock music. And he was like, yes, finally that happened. That came because you kind of feel like natural at this. Let's go back to rock music. I was like, yeah, it feels like I'm not. It's just not. It's not it. I need to find what I really resonate with. So I started exploring, and Barbie Girl was one of those songs, which were made transition. Yeah, I kind of messed around with pop punk here and there, but then I was like, okay, pop punk it doesn't work with me either. So Barbie Girl was the transition I made to heavier genres, and with my album Biomass, I kind of nailed this um, metalcore ish, industrial metal, alternative metal niche, and I am starting working on my second album now, which I haven't announced actually yet, but it's going to be continuous of growing as an artist in this heavier alternative rock, metal, industrial metal subgenres.
You pretty much answered questions that I've already had for you, which is great. But how did you know that metalcore is the niche for you?
I didn't know. I didn't know. I never been heavier than new metal. I'm a new metal kid. Like you ask me what bands I would listen, I would just like name to you a bunch of bands. All of us grew up, all of millennials grew up, and I was never like I would never listened to anything heavier than that. Only recently, after like I'm in my late 30s, right? Just now I started actually connecting with heavier genres. I listen to deathcore bands now, and like exploring different heavier stuff, and it actually started resonating with me just now. Probably it comes with age and with kind of like stress builds up and everything. So I didn't know that metalcore is my niche. How I discovered it, I started working with different producers in heavier genres, and I was like, hey, new metal, this is what I was originally doing and what I'm good at, but I'm actually open for exploration, and I still didn't find my sound. So bring on the table whatever you like, and let's see how it goes. So metalcore was discovered for me as an artist to perform by producer Jordan Kilcore. We wrote an album, Biomass, together. And thanks to him, I kind of like nailed down that subgenre. So that was because of him.
A lot of your songs, they tackle sexism, domestic violence, and abuse. I know, and if you don't want to get into it, I know you've encountered some of those issues on a personal level. How do you balance making art that's emotionally powerful without feeling uh, just heavy, like because it affected you so much?
Um, One of the reasons why heavier music resonates with me because it's actually therapeutical. All of my songs are based on real stories and real experiences I had from my perspective. I never write songs about things I don't know or I imagine or I heard. It's all of my experience, and unfortunately my life have been pretty tragic, and I just made decision not to give up and not to fall in trap of being, like a victim of all of that. So um, basically, music for me is the way to heal, the way to overcome pain, with the way to accept myself with all of scars and shattered pieces I have. and become the best version I can be. And that's all not only centered around me, because I grew up in situations when I was used in many different ways, and I kind of built my mind around that. But basically, my personal happiness doesn't really matter. So I need to bring value to the world. So that's it, actually really deep down in my personality. And by music, I feel that I'm satisfying my need to be useful to this world by making a space for people like me who have been abandoned or sacrificed or just literally used. I kind of feel like I already have very strong community of like-minded people. I feel uncomfortable calling them fans because they are more like family to me, although we probably never like haven't met, or some of them I met on the shows. But I would say this is healing journey for me, and this is healing journey for them. I feel deeply connected with my community, and I feel seen and accepted for who I am with the person I become.
Has your songs ever turned, well, how I want to word this? So what I'd like, the way I'm hearing what you're saying is you're an advocate and a performer, and I think that is tremendous. Has any one of your fans, whether it was through social media or after a live performance, ever approached you after the show and thanked you for having a certain song that connected with them?
uh, Many times. At this point at this level of my career, I can totally tell you that I feel very blessed with with the opportunity to speak directly to my people and hear their stories and their their like their thoughts around it. I've been blessed to have opportunity to meet in person, online, on the call with lots of people who resonates with my music, and I often post that in my stories. I got lots of messages and in person conversations when they said that my music helped them to overcome suicidal thoughts and made overcome addiction and loss and grief, and gave them a hope, and felt they people who listen to my music who deeply resonate with it, they felt accepted and seen, and that they feel less lonely. That is, to be honest, that is so important to me. I feel like my childhood dream come true if today my career will be over. Let's imagine something goes awfully wrong, or I just like brick lands on my head and I just gonna die right here. I feel accomplished. That's enough for me. Yes, I'm very goal driven and I have very big, huge appetite when it comes to achievements and goals. But from this perspective, from what I've heard people told me already, they shared their stories. Some people actually told me what happened to them, and I was the only one who actually they ever told this. And you will be surprised how many men and women are struggling with inability to speak out or tell what happened to them. So I feel very accomplished as an artist that they feel they can trust me to tell me their story.
It's really difficult. And you mentioned men. And from a man's perspective, I'm that Gen X guy, and we're supposed to be tough and, not caring about feelings and this or that. And, for the longest time, I lived that lifestyle. But the older I get, and I'm in my early 50s now, I've realized that it's good to reach out to someone, even if it's a total stranger, and talk to someone regarding anything that's going on in your world that you may be afraid to talk to your closest friend or family member about. And music has always carried me on that journey. And with you and your lyrics and everything you've gone through, I mean, I just want to thank you for being who you are and putting the songs out there and the music for us fans to appreciate and to pull through.
Thank you so much for saying that. It is actually very surprisingly healing and painful at the same time, because I wish this world would be a better place so we'll have less people connected with my traumas. But unfortunately, this is not true. And I know that lots of men being raised, being tough and like suck it up and push it through. That's why my music resonates with so many people, and 90% of my listeners are men. But it's not because of that, of course. Metal scene missed female representation. So historically, it happened that more male listeners are dominating these genres. There are lots of women too, but just in order to get bigger percentage of female listeners, I need to become a bigger act. And I'm getting there. It's just a matter of time and work and like thinking outside the box. But um, right now, a majority of my listeners are men, and I want to clarify that this is actually beautiful moment for me to explore, because most of my abusers are men, right? But most of my friends are men too. Like I don't represent. I often speak about female rights and stuff, but I want to be clear here. I view people as people, and it doesn't matter what gender are. It took me a while to um, understand that women can be dangerous too. Women can be angry too, and um, human beings are both good and bad. Like it's not black and white world. It is we as an adults, as a human adults, are capable to experience complex feelings. We can hate and love things. We basically live in gray zone, right? Where things are not only good and bad. So I love the idea that we step away from ideology of men should be this and women should be that. And I love that my music, from my perspective, speaks to such big audience who actually can relate and have their own experiences, and they're sharing with me. I had this like sometimes someone approaches me and starts telling me like, oh, like like a hater type
Mhm.
conversation, when like people are trying to tell me like, oh, who needs your like voice out there, like we got this without you, basically. Like all of that already have been done, and there is a plenty of artists out there. Yeah, there are plenty of artists out there, and there are plenty of female rock artists who like historically like already done what I'm doing right now, but it doesn't mean that the whole world have to stop. I have my story to deliver, and those people who are connected with my music, they have their stories to share too. And I know that lots of people are raised to keep their mouth shut and push it through. This is not what we're doing. We're building a community where it's safe to talk about what happened, safe to talk about your feelings, your fears, be vulnerable and being heard and being respected.
I wish this was a video interview because the emotion that I have seen on your face and the times you were trying not to cry when you were telling your story and how you feel, I wish the audience could see that, being that it is just an audio interview. I mean, I could just see the emotion. It was real, it wasn't fake. You weren't just spewing words out.
Thank you for seeing that.
Now, you're welcome. Now, beyond music, are there any other forms of activism or advocacy work that you're involved in or hope to be involved in the future?
I've done a bunch of volunteering throughout the life. In the past, I've been a volunteer for senior living in my home country. Senior living in my home country, which is financed by government, is not the same way as in America. In America, most of senior livings are actually very like fancy places, at least what I've seen. I might be mistaken here because I'm new in America and I'm not really sure with all levels of like social support of older generation. But from what I've seen, I've been as a performer into fancy senior livings, right? Where you are entertainment for people who are wealthy, but already unable to leave themselves alone, right?
Right.
In my home country, I've been to facilities where people leave because they have no other choice, because of the age or disabilities, but because it's financed by government, it is actually quality of life is very low and human basics are not covered. So I was volunteering as a free hand to help anyhow. And I've seen horrible, horrible things, to be honest. Basically, all disabled children from foster care who are unable to maintain their life due to disabilities on their own, they go straight to senior living. So they're like 20-year-old disabled girls and boys who are living in senior living facilities. And unfortunately, budget is so low that there is literally few people who work there. So hygiene is a problem. You literally step into the building and it smells poo. And there are many people who are military, for example, military veterans who doesn't have arms, legs, and they cannot feed themselves, they cannot wash themselves, and there's not enough stuff to do that. So I was volunteering my time to do physical work. Back then, I was in bad place mentally um, because I was in still new metal scene. I was a single mom and I had a very, very big job, my day job. I was a CEO of the company and it was very stressful. And on weekends, I would volunteer every Sunday to go there and do physical work because as much as they needed me, I needed them. I don't know, it's a big topic, but I was volunteering to wash, feed, change underwear, special underwear, and stuff like that. I worked there, volunteered there for 6 months. After that, I moved to China. While in China making money, I always had uh, mm, uh, 10% of my income aside to help people in need. I normally would not like give money to organization. It would be like someone in my surrounding knew that I'm supporting people, especially when they need like like domestic violence, mom with kids runs away to escape the violence. I had enough finances to finance her having children and her for a few days in apartment, clean, like put mine together. Sometimes I would pay for legal consultations because sometimes people run away without passports, money, and stuff like that. So throughout the years, I would support as much as I can. My husband and I, we often provide our space to shelter. And when I moved to America, I was volunteering for street cleaning. I really love San Francisco, but it was devastating. Watch the city drown in dirt. So every Sunday I would volunteer on cleanups. Um, yeah. So far, and now we are in financial situation where we could actually support, and we have few people we are supporting right now by providing very affordable living, legal support and stuff like that. So in the future, I would love to continue doing what I'm doing on bigger scale. And I have few plans to support men and women in difficult situations. Um, I know that it's not going to change the world, and people often relapse or not ready to escape violence. They kind of like go back, and I'm mentally ready to see people I helped going back to where they started, which is hard, but it is what it is. Well, hopefully, I will be able to build ecosystem where I can involve people I trust who will not abuse the power and will be able to fill in those little spots which are not filled in by government, so that can be sponsored out of my pocket to give better quality life.
Wow. I just want to say bless you for that because that takes a lot to do. And I know I take care of my elderly father, and he's actually a double amputee, a military veteran. And, I'm not ragging on our country in any way, and I have no clue as to how bad it can be in the countries that you are in. But, I'm still at this point where I don't feel veterans get what they deserve when it comes to care.
I am not very familiar also with system in America, but living here for 6 years, I encounter situations when uh, there is um, there is a little gap which is very crucial. It's such a big topic. I'm afraid that I'm going to steer out, but everything what I say, it's not because I want to like blame on somebody. I'm just trying to see spots I can improve
Mhm.
here and now. So I already noticed a few spots where people break and that pushes people down spiral. I would love to fill in those little gaps, so it will give this people opportunity to don't get pushed down by system. Not like system was created to kind of like push them down, but those gaps are so crucial. Like imagine you have health condition or addiction, right, and you were not able to pay your bills, and then you are depressed and unable to get on top of your things, and things spiral so bad, you literally, you are poor and you get poor and more poor and more poor, and then once you are on the street, it's just matter of 2 3 days when you are unable to go back to society, and society kind of like, okay, homeless, that's it, and you are like in different box. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So if I can fill in those little gaps where people can change their lives in those moments, or kind of like levitate for a few days for them to put their mind on the right
Mhm.
space, maybe that will help. So I would like to affect that.
It's great to see, and I don't mean this to be negative towards any musical artist whatsoever, but a lot of times when I interview artists, we just talk music or their past and so forth. But with you, I mean, just talking about the advocacy and what you see and how close you pay attention, no matter what country you're in, to the needs of individuals, it's remarkable.
Thank you. It just comes out of my own experience when I was kind of left alone, and I think I was able to get out of that situation by enormous amount of force, and I don't think it should be this way.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be this hard. There should be some kind of like system where people can lean on to.
Oh, I agree. Totally agree with you. Before we wrap up today, I've got to ask, who in your life has been your biggest champion when it comes to your music, whether it's another artist, a friend, a family member?
Well, I have few people. First of all, my manager Alex. Shout out to my manager Alex. He been my bass player in China. He been my good friend over a decade already, and he is my development manager. And everything what we achieved, I achieved because he saw more things in me, and I'm a hard worker. So I'd say he is one of my biggest champions, and I hope grow big and provide for him good life when he can actually share his talent towards other artists, because he is brilliant, and I think world have to see that. Another thing is that my husband, Ariel, he is absolutely brilliant man, very generous. I'd say first man in my life who's not scared of my success. First man in my life who actually truly puts away his needs in order to satisfy my career goals. He's been big on that. And I also want to shout out my grandmother. She is not alive anymore, but I think I am the way I am because she was so fucking badass. I looked up at her and I was like, I just cannot do worse than my grandmother did. So she just gave me the standards of strong woman who is loving and complex and machine.
If you need a moment, it's okay.
Oh, can I also add one more person, please?
Mhm.
My older daughter, Alisa. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend every friend I didn't include. I have lots of amazing friends who supported me, and I have amazing ecosystem of people I work with. But right now, we're talking about the most like valuable like moments, right?
Right.
Personal moments. I want to thank my daughter, my 18-year-old Alisa, for making me a better person. She's been a wonderful kid, and I had her when I was 18, 19. And she just showed me that being a mom is not, how do I say this? She just made me stronger, and she's been absolutely wonderful. I'm very proud of her. She's also one of my hardcore cheer team.
So, is there ever going to be a mother-daughter duo with metalcore?
No, she's an artist. She's a visual artist.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. She got to follow her dreams too.
Yeah, true. I wish it would be something else because this artsy fields are very challenging, but um, she is like her mom.
Aw, awesome. So, any tours coming up here in the near future?
Actually, yes. So I am booking my US tour for October, September, October, and it is happening. It's just I don't know exactly what the lineup is going to be like, but either it's going to be DIY where I go and do US tour in venues with the local acts, or it's going to be one headliner and I'm going to be direct support. It's in the process. My team and I, we are um, going through different options, but
Awesome. Well, I'm going to plant a little seed in your head. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
oh my God, I should come to you guys. I have a bunch of people who keep messaging me, and I'm like, I'm so sorry that I haven't actually put that. I'm going to add that place, definitely.
All right. Well, let's hope. Let's hope we can put it together.
Absolutely. Um, I started working on my second album, and first single of that album I'm planning to drop it right before the tour. So that tour will be kind of promoting upcoming album in 2027, and hopefully once I checked out US national tour out of my checklist, I will go international. So that's going to be all fun.
Well, I'm going to wish you the best of luck on everything you got coming up. And whatever you do, please continue to advocacy because it is much needed. And just from talking to you, you have your heart and your soul into it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story about your father. I appreciate that moment when we connected over it, and I see you.
Well, thank you as well. And
Thank you so much. It was really pleasure meeting you.
same here. I just want to give a huge thank you to today's guest and or guest for sharing the stories and the moments that remind us why rock music still has us banging our heads today. Whether it's a legend who helped build the soundtrack of our lives or the new blood keeping that volume turned up, every artist has a story worth hearing. So, to all my fellow Gen Xers out there and millennials, keep those old vinyl records spinning, those cassettes turning, and the CD tracks skipping loud enough to embarrass your kids and possibly your grandkids. And to the younger generation discovering classic and modern bands for the first time, welcome to the party. So go dig deeper, explore the music, and find out why we still say we're rockin' like dockin'. And no, I will not be explaining that any further. I'm Gen X Joe, coming to you from the Wherever I May Roam studio, asking you to keep supporting the artist, keep discovering new music, and most importantly, keep rocking loud and living proud. We'll see you next time on the Youth Gone Mild podcast, where hairlines fade, but rock never does. Peace out. Props everyone for listening.